Hello, my friends. So, if yesterday the occupiers reduced their activity slightly, today it's practically at its maximum again, 80 attacks in a day. But let's go through everything step by step, and let's start with the Kupiansk direction. Here, the occupiers made 4 attempts to capture Avdiivka. However, the Ukrainian forces successfully held their defense, and the front line remains unchanged. In addition, shelling continues in Ivanyivka. As for the area around Avdiivka, the occupiers failed to advance, and all attacks have ceased. In the Svatova direction, the situation remains unchanged, with minimal activity as before. In the direction of Crimea, the occupiers have significantly increased the number of assaults. There were 14 attacks in the area around the villages of Terny and Orlivka in a day. Shelling continues along the entire front line here as well. So the situation is challenging because, according to recent reports, the occupiers are advancing closer to the settlements, but the Ukrainian forces are doing everything possible to hold the defense. In the Siversk direction, the occupiers are only conducting shelling today with no offensive actions reported. All attacks in the Avdiivka area have been unsuccessful for the Russians, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Bakhmut direction, there has also increased activity today. So the occupiers have conducted 8 attacks already, and the battles are ongoing. So the main assaults are taking place in the areas of Bogdanivka, Ivanivska, Klishivka, and Avdiivka. Moreover, the occupiers are managing to advance further, making the situation complex. So the Ukrainian forces reported yesterday evening that the Russians have achieved tactical successes near Bogdanivka again.
The Russians have a slight advance in the Bodanivka area.
We'll see how events unfold further. So Russian war correspondents confirm that they are shelling all positions of the Ukrainian forces. Therefore, our units have to retreat to more advantageous positions.
In the village of Krasnoy, Ivanovskoy, fierce fighting continues. The enemy has rolled back to the second line of defense and is clinging to every meter of ground. The armed forces of the Russian Federation are literally pouring fire on enemy facilities. Individual positions are leveled to the ground along with those who defend them. Our field artillery and mortars work in the mode, to the last shell, and then from above, our infantry is supported by aviation. Tanks are used to break into the most fortified dugouts and pillboxes, and the infantry is working hard.
In the Avdiivka direction, hell continues as the occupiers shell the entire area to the maximum extent. Today, the General Staff reports that battles have already begun near Orlivka. This, once again, confirms that Lastachkina is already in the gray zone, and now the occupiers are breaking through further, although they cannot consolidate their positions yet. But in fact, the Russians are breaking through to Orlivka already 3 kilometers from the furthest front line, and this is a very bad sign. So, in the area of Severne, the fighting continues, but the Russians have no success here, and the front line remains unchanged. Additionally, the battles for Pervomaiska and Nevelska continue, but they still have no success here as before. In the Marinka direction, the occupiers are trying to expand their territory near the captured village of Pobeda, and they continue to storm the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces right in the village of Novomykhailivka. They are breaking into the village and trying to consolidate there. According to the latest reports from the Ukrainian armed forces, they are moving from the village of Pobeda towards Konstantinivka.
The orcs proceeded to storm the summer cottage village, Eurozay, located south of the Georgievsky Pond. The advance of the Katsaps was recorded in an area up to 2.3 kilometers wide and up to a depth of 520 m, black medium-small square to the southeast of the headquarters of the Paris Commune. The enemy is trying to improve the tactical position in the northern direction. Black medium-small square in the area of the village of Pobieda. The enemy continues to press in the direction of forest belts.
Perhaps the Russians' plan here is to advance from the village of Pobeda to Konstantinivka, after which they could move across the fields to Vodyane and thus create a pivot point for Vuhledar. But for now, these are just speculations, so let's see how events unfold further. But the Russians definitely have big plans here, as 31 attacks in a day is a very high indicator for one direction. So that's the number of assaults conducted before the capture of Avdiivka. In the Vuhledar direction itself, the occupiers are advancing towards the settlement of Zolota Niva, and shelling continues along the entire front line. 2 attacks have already been carried out in a day, and they are trying to advance further. So the Ukrainian armed forces successfully repel all attacks, and the front line remains unchanged. In the Zaporizhia direction, the occupiers conducted 4 attacks on Robotine and Verbove. Moreover, as before, frontline villages are shelled to make it more difficult for the Ukrainian armed forces to move into the liberated territory. So this situation is very difficult, but the Ukrainian armed forces continue to hold the defense. In the Kherson direction, the occupiers continue shelling, and today the General Staff reports that besides attacks on the village of Krinke, the occupiers are attempting to advance in the area of the city of Oleshki. So it seems they want to take control of the islands here, and Russian war correspondents describe the situation themselves.
Today, ours again resumed assaults on the enemy's bridgehead in the village of Krinky. In total, there was 1 assault by a group from the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment. The enemy repulsed him. Our artillery did a little work on the bridgehead. Other than that, everything is the same. Krinky is under the enemy, and this is proved by their videos, even by correspondents from V. Solovyov's network, who are afraid to enter Krinky and lie to people.
Now, folks, regarding ammunition and assistance. So I believe everyone knows that the Senate is still on vacation, and the decision on a new aid package, as before, hasn't been made. So as a result, the United States is already predicting a catastrophic shortage of ammunition in Ukraine starting from April.
Channel's interlocutors called the end of March a particularly decisive time for Ukrainian troops if Congress does not approve a project with funding for Ukraine. Another official said it would be difficult to determine exactly when the situation for Ukrainian troops might worsen, but noted that the deficit is expected to increase through the spring. The tipping point begins now, and it will gradually worsen throughout the spring and into the summer. So, this period that we are entering is critical, said a representative of the U.S. Department of Defense.
As you understand, if at this moment the occupiers start storming the same Chasiv Yar or want to break through to Zaporizhia, there will be nothing to stop them. Meanwhile, Medvedev is already seriously talking about creating the Texas People's Republic.
Я же написал в своем юмористическом прогнозе, что это будет. Вот теперь все мы ждем заключения договора о дружбе и сотрудничестве между ТНР и ДНР, Техасской Народной Республикой и Донецкой Народной Республикой. Вот. Но на самом деле, если говорить серьезно, вот еще лет 20 назад это показалось бы нонсенсом. Да, Соединенные Штаты, Федерация. У Федерации больше внутренних проблем, мы знаем по опыту Советского Союза, и нашему опыту тоже. Но, тем не менее, это очень сильная страна, лидер там и так далее. А сейчас это вполне обсуждаемо.
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.